Welcome back to an all-new episode of Capital City Sports. I'm your host, Meredith Harvey.
And I'm Jonathan Hilliard. Coming up on this week's show, March Madness continues as we are down to 4 in the NCAA tournament. We'll get you caught up with scores and highlights.
And the Gamecock football team is working their way through spring practice. We'll tell you why one player could have you saying, Sydney who? It's officially football season here in Columbia, and it's only March. The Columbia Stingers, Columbia's new indoor football team, debuted on Saturday. Jonathan Hilliard was there to tell you why some faces may look familiar.
Taqi Muhammad is back in the spotlight, signing autographs for Columbia fans.
My main goal is just keep balling. I don't quit. I want to keep going until my body can't take it anymore.
As a starter for the USC football team, Muhammad spent his college days running through the tunnel with his Gamecock teammates. Now, 3 years later, he is back in Columbia as a member of the Columbia Stingers. And Muhammad isn't the only familiar face on the roster. 5 former Carolina football players took the field for the Stingers in their opening game in the Colonial Center. Another former Gamecock is responsible for piecing it all together. Ex-Carolina linebacker Corey Miller was hired as the head coach of the Stingers, and he was desperate for Garnet and Black.
I wanted, when I got this job, to go find, I would like for half this team to be Gamecock. I'm hoping to get a couple of more, so we'll see what happens.
Current Stingers, Jermaine Harris and Tremaine Tyler, played with Muhammad at Carolina. The group was very close at USC, but were afraid their days of playing together were over after college.
I thought I wasn't going to be able to play with them ever again, just thinking that's college, that's it. But, it's pretty fun to come back out here and do something like that.
And it's a good thing they're having fun because at $200 a game, the paycheck isn't very glamorous. But Muhammad says at least he's playing the game he loves.
The more I can play football, the better off I'll be.
Football has always been a big part of Columbia. And whether it's at Williams-Brice Stadium or inside at the Colonial Center, Muhammad hopes fans will continue to support their Gamecocks. Jonathan Hilliard, Capital City Sports.
The Gamecock softball team is trying to get back in the win column after a tough SEC stretch. We'll tell you if they were successful. And we're down to 4 in the madness of March. We'll get you ready for the final weekend of college hoops next on Capital City Sports.
Thanks for joining us for this week's Carolina edition.
It's easy to tell if you've had way too many. But what if you've had just one too many? Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Do you have to go number 1 or number 2?
Week 2 of the NCAA tournament has come and gone, but if you missed it, don't worry, we've got all the scores and highlights. John Thompson III looking to lead his Georgetown team to the Final Four for the first time since 1985. Second half, it's Ty Lawson. I'll have 2 scoops of beautiful, please. Later on, Tar Heels going cold as Danny Green He can't buy the shot. Ty Lawson, he stepped on the line. That's cheating. Wayne Ellington can't hit the shot, and here come the Hoyas. This is Jeff Green with the little baby hook. It's good. Georgetown down 5. Now Roy Hibbert, thank you very much. Cuts it down to 3. And now Green, not so much, but Patrick Ewing Jr. cleaning up the trash. Thank you, sir. Tyler Hansbrough trying to push the lead back up. He hits the shot, puts UNC up 3. And now he passes to the man, and boom goes the dynamite. Georgetown ties the ball game. UNC had a chance to win it. No good. Patrick Ewing with the rebound at the end of regulation. And here, Jonathan Wallace is going to throw up the desperation heave. That's not going to fall. So we're going to overtime in this Elite 8 matchup. In overtime. Backdoor to Wallace. He lays it in. Hoyas go up for the first time since the first half. Now the loose ball. It's going to DeJuan Summers. Thank you very much. Hoyas up 4. Now Tyler Hansbrough trying to will his team back in it. They call it travel. And the Hoyas are hanging on for dear life. Now Jeff Green driving, fade away. He hits it. Up 6. Now Tar Heels desperately trying to get in it. Rayshon Terry can't hit the shot. Ewing with the rebound. And the Georgetown Hoyas go on to win despite being down 10 points with just 4 minutes left in this ball game. They advance to Atlanta. Now, 3rd seed Oregon taking on number 1 seed Florida. First half, Lee Humphrey, money. Torian Green, bank. Lee Humphrey. I feel like a broken record right about now. Gators go up 6. They were so on fire that they broke the net. I mean, honestly, literally broke the net. Gators go on to win this game. They're going to make their 2nd straight Final Four appearance. Now, UCLA, Kansas. UCLA, the 2 seed. Kansas early in this game at Sasha Khan throwing down the alley-oop. Later on, Mario Chalmers dunked this. But here comes UCLA. The lay-in, they come back to take the lead 21-20. Now it's Brandon Rush, the only 3 that Kansas hit all first half, ties the game. But the Bruins were just too much. Aaron Aflalo, 1 scoop of beautiful, please. UCLA goes up, and now it's Josh Shipp hitting the 3. UCLA goes on to win. They'll face Florida in a rematch of last year's championship game. Now, Memphis and Ohio State, the Tigers going up early. But here come the Ohio State Buckeyes. Greg Oden, I think I'll have the 2 points and 1 extra point because you cheated. Ohio State goes on top. And now Greg Oden, thank you very much. Good gracious, throwing the hammer down. Now the Buckeyes start to pull away. This is Jamar Butler for 3. Ron Lewis is in this next highlight, and the Ohio State Buckeyes moving on to Atlanta.
So the Final Four is all set with number 1 seed Ohio State taking on 2 seed Georgetown Saturday night at 6:07 p.m. That game will be followed by a rematch of last year's final when the defending champ Florida Gators take on the 2 seed UCLA Bruins at 8:47 p.m. Trey Kelly and Brandon Wallace arrived at USC 4 years ago in 2003. Now, as we look back at their final season, we say one last thank you.
I don't know that I've ever coached 2 guys who have given more and asked less than Brandon Wallace and Trey Kelly.
South Carolina, number 33, and the guard, a senior from Washington, D.C., number
1, Like I said many times, he's like a brother to me. You know, we kind of think on the same plane. I don't know how many assists he got his career assists, but I'm sure at least a third of them were to me.
It means a lot to me. That guy's a great friend. It's a friendship that definitely will last throughout our lives. It's definitely a person that will always be in my heart forever.
He is player of the year in this league. period. No conversation.
Two only postseason championships that the program has ever had. You know, I'm proud and I'm very glad to be a part of that.
Their contribution to Gamecock basketball will go on forever.
What's it like when you hear your calling? Will you remember where you were? Will you ignore it? Or will you listen? What if it calls you to go halfway around the world? To share your skills? To serve people you've never met? To do things you never thought you could? What will you do when you hear your calling? Peace Corps, life is calling. How far will you go?
Today, the world we live in is fast-paced and ever-changing. We need a senator who will lead us into the future. We need courage. We need integrity. We need someone who won't walk away from trouble. We need Bag of Leaves. Cast your vote to elect Bag of Leaves in the midterm elections.
If you're not voting, then who are you electing?
Alone and crying, boom, boom, bam. Crying, pam, pam, pam. Crying, chaka, chaka, cha. Crying is always good.
It's easy to tell if you've had way too many. But what if you've had just one too many? Buzz driving is drunk driving.
There we go.
After a strong start to the season, the USC softball team struggled in conference play. On Tuesday, they hope to get it back on track, playing non-conference team Winthrop.
Lady Gamecocks taking on the Winthrop Eagles. First game of a doubleheader, trying to break a two-game losing streak. Joyce Compton looking for her 1,000th win. On the mound, Melissa Hedden pitching for the Gamecocks. And that's Lindsay Walker fielding the grounder. Rifling it over to first. Got her. Becky Martinez snagging the line drive. How about that Gamecock D? But Stephanie Thomas with the looper. And then Hedden walks a batter to load the bases. Loaded. That's a lady on all bases. Oh, and the looper just out of reach. That'll score 2 runs. Chalk up 2 RBIs for Stephanie Reed. Yeah. But then Hedden gets a fly ball to Tori Martin to get out of the inning. Gamecocks trying to come back. But grounding out. Not gonna do it. Just can't find a way to get on that scoreboard. Not liking what we're seeing out there. Gamecocks struggling. Bottom of the 6th. Becky Martinez slapping one down the line. Yeah, that's good. That'll work. And it's Melissa Hedden. She gets the sacrifice down. Out of first, but moved the base runner over. But Megan Evans, once again with a strikeout to end the inning, keeping the Gamecocks off the board. Kenny Hughes trying to keep her Gamecocks in the game. See what she can do. against Megan Evans, who's been striking out everyone left and right. Yeah, she can put one in right center and get a stand-up double. That'll work. Very nice. Gamecocks threatening. And it's Becky Martinez. But she pops out to second. And then Melissa Hedden. She pops out to second. So, valiant fight, but the Gamecocks fall to Winthrop. The Eagles win the first game of the doubleheader, and they improved to 30-10. Megan Evans, she recorded 7 strikeouts in 7 innings, allowing only 4 hits. For the Gamecocks, Melissa Hedden allowing 2 earned runs on 5 hits through 7 innings.
Welcome to the Capital City Sports Boardroom. I'm Alex Riley, host this week. With me, Michael Aguilar, staff writer, Daily Gamecock. Glad to have you here, Aguilar.
Glad to be here, Riley.
We're obviously in the SEC room this week where the Gamecocks, actually the baseball team, has gotten off to a pretty strong start in the SEC. 4-2 record to start, 2 series wins over 2 West opponents. What are you thinking about so far with the baseball team?
Well, you know, like you said, moved up to number 1 this week, and I think it's about time. You look at the offensive power with a lineup like Carolina has. You've got Justin Smoke followed by, you know, Phil Disher, and you got James Darnell right in front of them. Those are 3 guys that every time they're coming up to the plate, there's a good chance they're going to hit it out of the park. And pitching is kind of coming to their own with the emergence of Alex Ferrado, who's been pitching really well in the last couple of games that he's made appearances in, and Win Pelzer seems to be getting his stride back. So I think it's about time they moved up to the 1 spot.
Speaking of the recent developments on the baseball field, of course, as we all know, the suspensions of Carolina's 2 players are long behind them. With that in mind, filling that spot has been Harley Lael, a guy who's swinging a hot bat right now, playing some solid defense out in the outfield. Just have you noticed anything from Lael? I mean, has he impressed you with his fill-in job of Chisenhall?
Lael's definitely been impressive. One of the things that Ray Tanner said about Harley Lael is that he played some of the most impressive fall ball of anybody on the team, and that the only reason that Chisenhall got as much playing time at the beginning of the year as he did was because Lael had a back strain. So it was that injury that kept Lael from actually starting most of the games that Chisenhall was playing in. So right now, I think you're seeing the lineup that Carolina would have regardless of the suspensions.
Carolina, obviously, 2 series wins over some solid teams. LSU, not quite to the par they've always been. Mississippi State playing some okay baseball right now. But this weekend, a big test with Vanderbilt coming to town, the number 3 team in the nation. I mean, what are you looking for this weekend down at the Sarge?
Looking for some offensive people to step up, like Reese Havens, like he did last week. You know, he's been slumping early this year, and he improved his batting average by 50 points in just this last weekend with his hitting show that he put on. You know, the pitching is going to need some support because you got a team like Vanderbilt that can hit the ball. So we're going to need some offensive support in order to pull out a series win over a tough team like Vanderbilt.
Well, with that offensive support, obviously Carolina in very little need of a lot of offensive support this weekend after that 20-3 drubbing to start the series. I mean, an unbelievable performance by the Gamecock hitters. Looking for more of that as the season goes on, especially when they start to face some tougher staffs. All right, let's move on real quick to the other sport that's going on right now, although it's not really in play, and that would be Carolina football, obviously getting their spring scrimmages underway. Practices, you know, keep changing here and there, but what have you seen or heard from down at the spring camp so far?
The player making the most noise for us right now is Larry Freeman. Larry Freeman, the JUCO wide receiver transfer, the guy that Spurrier's brought in to replace the beloved Sidney Rice, who departed for the NFL this offseason. Freeman's making a lot of noise, and he's a big receiver who's going to be able to do as much as Sidney did with the fly routes and that sort of thing, going up over cornerbacks and making a difference in the passing game.
Obviously, Carolina is still looking at that quarterback situation. Some questions out there. Blake Mitchell, obviously the incumbent starter. Chris Smelly battling for the number 2 spot. But Tommy Beecher's putting up a heck of a fight right now. He's been playing some solid ball in some of these scrimmages and stuff. Actually, his numbers at times have outshined the 2 guys who are supposed to be the more polished of the 2 passers. What do you think about the quarterback battle in general? Do you think that Mitchell's got enough to outlast the spring and make it into fall ball?
I think Mitchell's Spurrier's quarterback. Mitchell is a guy that knows that he needs to follow the system in order to be successful, and he is in the exact mold that Spurrier had success with Danny Werfel and Shane Matthews and all those sorts of guys down in Florida. So I think you're going to look at Mitchell as the definite starter for the entire season. Smelly's been struggling a lot. Chris Smelly has not looked good in any of the scrimmages, and Spurrier even went as far as to say that he thinks Smelly still thinks that he's down at that little private school in Alabama with the way he's playing. And so I think that you might be looking at Beecher taking up the second spot if Smelly doesn't step up real soon.
Obviously, this broadcast will go on after this actually happens, but do you think that Pro Timing Day is coming up on Wednesday? Do you think that Sidney Rice's stock could rise in the NFL draft after a day like that? Do you think it will rise?
I think it will. Sidney's been working real hard on his speed, and that's the key thing that a lot of scouts are looking for out of him is some improvement in his speed from the combine, not necessarily just from the combine, but also from the season, because Sidney can run routes and he can catch anything that he can touch. So if he can improve his speed, I think that you're going to see his stock rise a little bit.
Okay, let's move on to basketball real quick. Final Four is obviously here. Any upsets in your bracket? I don't know how many pools you put yourself in, but any upsets in your bracket?
No, not. I've been sticking with Georgetown from the beginning. I think that you look at Roy Hibbert as the strongest big man in the nation right now, and he's got the outside support from Green. And I think you look at Georgetown, that there's nobody else who's going to challenge Roy Hibbert. I look for Greg Oden to get serious foul trouble against Hibbert, and nobody from the other side of the Final Four to really challenge him on the inside.
What do you see coming out of that matchup of Ohio State and Georgetown? I mean, that's just two quality big men, two teams that kind of just rough and tumble it out, not a real, fast-paced up and down the court shooting type team, but they just like to physical each other, What are you seeing out of that matchup?
It's going to be a good game. Oden's less experienced than Hibbert, and the rest of Georgetown just seems to be able to band together when they really need to and just make the shots they need to make. You look at the 10 or 12-point comeback against UNC in the last 3 minutes. I mean, Ohio State is a little bit too young on the inside, and I think that Georgetown's just going to be able to pull it out over them.
Real quick, Florida over UCLA, the easy choice?
I think so, as much as I hate to admit it.
All right, that's all from the boardroom for this week. Join us next week. For Michael Aguilar, I'm Alex Riley. Have a pleasant week.
The bear climbed over the mountain, the bear climbed over the mountain, the bear climbed over the mountain, and what do you think he saw? What do you think he saw? What do you think he saw? The bear climbed over the mountain, the bear climbed over the mountain, the bear climbed over the mountain, and what do you think he saw?
Thanks for joining us for this week's Carolina edition.
Frozen Peas, respected member of our community for years, determined to always do just the right thing, committed to support the growth of our children, and effective at lowering bad cholesterol. Frozen Peas, courage, integrity, fresh ideas. This message paid for by the Friends of Frozen Peas.
If you're not voting, then who are you electing?
Hey! What is your problem, man? All right, what's going on here, fellas?
The missile was about to hit the school.
That doesn't change the fact that I don't have a car anymore. Who just throws a person's car at a missile?
You're serious?
Yeah. Who's gonna pay for my car?
Gamecocks continued spring practice this week under Coach Steve Spurrier, scrimmaging on Tuesday night. Capital City Sports caught up with some of the Gamecocks.
Seems like defensive guys playing harder and faster than the offensive line right now. What it looks like to me. How about y'all?
Yes,
You agree?
I agree.
Yeah, we got a fierce pass rush right now. If we'd had that during the season last year, we might have won about 5 games we lost. But yeah, our defensive guys are flying around pretty well right now. But again, it's all relative to your competition, as we all know. But there were some encouraging things. Defense doing a lot of good things, and Chris Smelly and Tommy Beecher did a few good things here and there. They just got to learn how to get rid of the ball, not take sacks.
First couple of scrimmages, Coach giving all the credit to the defense. That bother you a little bit? The offense didn't hold their own right now?
At this time, yeah. You know, we're young. We got a lot of young people on the line. We got to get them hip to what's going on. And once they get the confidence, you know, like I said last year, this offense is going to be good and this team is going to be good. So we just got to get on the ball right now. You know, everybody's learning their plays, and we're going to pull together.
Is there a chance for some of you older guys to take some of these younger guys under your wing at this point of the season where you guys aren't preparing for games right now?
It is definitely important. You know, once they get under our wing and we can teach them the ropes, you know, then they can have a swagger and the confidence that they need to go out there and play and not have to worry about the defense, you know, whacking them up or anybody else, you know, getting into their heads, not even the coaches. You just go out there and play the best way you can.
No, it really don't have anything to do with us. We still got to come out and play hard every day, you know. What defense does, we all on the same team. So, I mean, we both benefit from practice. I can't get caught up in the hype. I just got to come out every day and still play. Every day, anybody can have a good practice, anybody can have a bad practice. I just still got to come out and try my best.
Is it different for you kind of being that guy that everybody's looking to kind of perform and put up some performance, whereas in the past, you know, you kind of in the background?
Not really, but like I said, no matter what's going on around me, I still got to do my job. And if I don't get the job done, then I'll be on the sideline.
Is it kind of frustrating seeing the defense kind of dominate these first couple practices here?
Not really, because it just sees how much improvement we can make and how good we can be.
That's all for this week's show. Tune in every Thursday at 8 p.m. only on SGTV. I'm Jonathan Hilliard.
And I'm Meredith Harvey. Keep it sunny side up, Columbia.